we white knuckle ourselves to death in attempting to achieve a goal. And it's like, when are you going to admit that you can't do this yourself? When are you going to admit that there might be a better way, that you don't actually know what it is you should do in order to get the most efficient results? My name is Brian Pannuzzo. I'm an executive coach that helps successful professionals get wealthy outside of the office in their mind, their body, and their relationships. I am an expert at this because I did it myself. I sat inside of corporate America for 20 years, likely in a seat just like one you sit in today. If I can do it, so can you. Welcome back to the show. This is the Success Left podcast. I'm your host, Brian. I hope you're having a great February. We're midway through the month. We just had the Super Bowl a couple of weeks ago. We got a long weekend. Hopefully you're listening to this on Monday, which should give you an extra day off for the week. Most people are off this week, at least are off today, at the time of this recording dropping. I'm just assuming that you listen to this on Monday when it drops. Whether you listen to it on Monday or you're listening to it throughout the week, you got an extra day. I talk about these things because I'm fully aware, by the way, that this podcast will exist into time and someone may find it weeks and months from now. But I like to bring things up that are topical. And this week is a shorter week for a lot of people. And why I bring it up is because when we have these days off during our weeks, when things are not as normal as they are, where we're getting up and we're grinding on a normal Monday morning and the week takes control and gets away from us so very quickly, we have these moments to experience maybe a different routine and to wake up and get to the gym and maybe get some more steps in, whether it be on a treadmill because you're in cold weather right now or outside because you're in warmer weather. Maybe you're able to control your food a little bit more. Maybe you're able to spend some time with the kids or your spouse. All of these things are phenomenal ways to spend your time off. Maybe you read a little bit more. Maybe you get to meditate. Maybe you get that sauna cold plunge session in and just spend a little bit more time on you. One of the core tenets of my program and what I do with the executives that I work with is I make sure that they schedule themselves, because oftentimes I talk to people and they tell me that they are trying to do these things. They hope to get to the gym. They wish they could do more. They don't have enough time. It's all BS. All right. If we spend time on a Sunday, like we do inside my programs, and script out your week and schedule you and take time to put the things that you want to do into your calendar, you will very quickly realize that you can become a priority in your life. And if you spend a little bit of time making sure you know what's going to come up as curveballs, you'll know that there are curveballs thrown at you every single week. And why not plan for those curveballs? So if you're off today, if you had off this week, if you are listening to this into the future and you have another day off coming up soon, think about some things that you can get done for yourself. Then think about, how can I start to implement those things into my life? Will every workday look like a day off? Of course it won't. But are these little moments for us to take stock and realize that, hey, wouldn't it be nice to control my schedule a little bit more? The answer is always, you can. Recently, just so you know and feel a little bit better, recently I asked a group of high school freshmen. I got to talk to my son's charity organization. The topic was fitness and nutrition. Of course, for those of you listening, just head over to YouTube and check me out. I just showed you a picture of the guns. I command respect when I walk in a room, especially to a group of younger people, but also to a group of adults because of my physical appearance. And it does help, yes, that I am a tall guy. I'm 6'6". I know you can't see that with me sitting in this chair, but when I walk into a room, you can't help but take notice. And I explain to them that it's very important that they care about their physical appearance because we are constantly and very quickly being judged in our life when we walk into a room. So make no mistake, even if you have millions and millions and millions of dollars in the bank account, and many of people that I work with have millions and millions of dollars in their bank account, You're being judged based on how you look. And it doesn't matter what is on your wrist, okay? It doesn't matter that you have a $5,000 suit on. It matters how you present yourself in that suit. It matters whether or not there is skin bulging out from the watch because it's too goddamn tight because your wrists are fat. Let's at least not have wrist fat, okay, everyone? So spend a little time on a day like today, if you're listening on a Monday, or on a week like this, and think about how can I start to craft a slightly better week for myself and prioritize myself. I also told those kids that, I asked them, when do you eat breakfast? Some of them said, I don't really have time to eat breakfast. Interesting question, interesting answer. Why not? Well, I have to leave for school at 7:10 and I get up at 7. Like, cool. Well, why wouldn't you get up at 6:50? Like, well, I get up at 6:30 and then I hit the snooze button a few times and I try to get out of bed, but I end up not getting out of bed and then I rush my way out the door. And so it's like, when your first class is, it's at 7:30 and you have to be there at 7:10. Why wouldn't you just plan to put yourself into that calendar, into your calendar, young kids, into your calendar, corporate executives, and have a process? Why wouldn't you know what you're going to eat the night before? Why wouldn't you put it out on the table if you could, so that you can get it and go? Why wouldn't you have easy options for yourself because you're going to be running out the door? And this podcast is not about 15-year-old boys. These are the same things that 45-year-old men and women go through. I rushed out the door. I wasn't able to get this done. I had back-to-back calls. I wasn't able to go get lunch, so I just snacked on the trail mix at the office. We know these things happen. We know our work schedules. We know our class schedules. Every single one of those kids knew where they had to be at 7:30 during zero period or first period. We oftentimes wait till seconds before we are about to put food in our mouth or make a decision about what's healthy or not healthy for us. And if we just put some thought into it, we would have a lot better results, This week, I don't want to talk more about 15-year-old boys. I don't want to talk about high school freshmen. And I want to talk about something that I know you're probably looking for more in your life, because I hear it over and over and over again from people when they come into my ecosystem, come into my programs, and want to get better results in their life. I constantly hear from them about, I need somebody to hold me accountable. And it's a very interesting concept for me because I kind of feel two different ways about it. First off, I feel very strongly about the need for accountability in our lives. And I'm going to talk about that because I provide that for the people that I work with. But there's an aspect of me, it's like, do you really need accountability? Like, if the stakes were high enough, if, young man, you were going to get paid $1 million to get up, eat breakfast, work out, plan the food that you're going to bring to school, put it in a paper bag and bring it to school, would you do it 5 days a week? Of course you would. If you had high enough stakes, if you weren't going to be allowed to see your kids for the next week because you ate the donut that showed up at the office at 10:30 and you just couldn't resist because you don't have discipline and it's not your fault and you wish you had somebody to hold you accountable. Are you kidding me? Of course you wouldn't eat the donut. And the donut is in air quotes because it's all of these little things that we do where we say, if we just had someone there to yell at me, or if I just had some accountability. Yes, accountability is incredibly powerful. And I will talk about that in a second. But if you just made the stakes high enough for yourself, if you just had a burning desire to become somebody different, to want to take your life outside the office in a particular place, I promise you, a lot of this work would be done for yourself. But until you get to that place, because we don't always know what we want out of our lives, we don't have specific destinations to put into the GPS. We need some help along the way. We need a co-pilot. We need a guy or a girl or whatever riding shotgun in our car so that when we start to drive off track, they get to slap us in the face and tell us to turn the steering wheel back onto the road. Or when we take that rest stop that I've talked about so often, we have someone there to remind us that it's time to get back going. Or It's time to take a rest stop. Hey, this is part of the journey. Going to see this site. You're going to remember this more than you're going to remember your six-pack abs that you say that you want. So why don't we figure out a way to do both? And that's what a great program does. That's what great coaching does. That's what working with people who have done what you want to do and been down the road over and over and over and over again and helped others do can help you as well. So let's go back to this insurance policy and accountability, because it's something that I hear over and over again. And if you don't feel like you need accountability, or you don't feel you need someone checking in on you, or you're not worried about letting yourself down, what I would like to have you think about is an analogy that I talk so much about inside of corporate America with my executive teams and my individuals, because this is true every single time. All right. I'm sure you have meetings at work. I'm sure there is some form of recurring process that you guys go through at the office, whether it be a weekly meeting. I had a daily morning meeting, whether it be quarterly reviews, whatever it may be. You have a role in your position at your profession. And if you don't show up to that role, if you don't come to the meeting prepared, you know that you will let people down. And I've been in meetings before in my corporate life where I haven't been able to produce the results that I promised. And I will tell you, and I don't have to tell you because I know that you know, it feels really shitty to let other people down. We will let ourselves down. We will make promises to ourselves. We will not fulfill those things so much faster, so more frequently than we will ever let someone else down. You try to go to the gym, but you don't go to the gym because there's nobody waiting for you at the gym, because there's no one who will follow up with you and ask you if you completed the training program that they prescribed for you. Imagine a coach giving you a very specific training program with step-by-step sets and reps with videos and inside of a personalized app that you can follow along and be connected to on a very frequent basis, and then you telling that coach that you didn't do it. And so we want to put these insurance policies around us in our lives because you're just so much more likely to not let other people down than you are to let yourself down. I don't quite understand the science behind it. I don't know why people are so much more willing to break promises to themselves than they are to other people. And so if you are a person of integrity and you don't want to let others down, if you tell me that you're going to be outside my house at 6 a.m. to pick me up, and I decide to hit the snooze button, there are a lot more ramifications than if no one is outside my house and I have to get in my car and drive to the gym by myself, and there's no one waiting for me at the gym. What's the point? The point is, you don't necessarily have to find somebody to pick you up, but you do have to get accountable to people, because you would never show up to that consistent meeting week after week, day after day, month after month, and raise your hand when it's time to talk. And they say, Brian, what do you got? And I say, you know what, everyone? I didn't do it. I tried to, but I didn't do it. Things got busy in my life, but I just decided to punt it and not do it this time. But you know what? I'm going to try to do it again next time. And I probably will do it for a little while and then stop doing it again. And so I hope you sense a little bit of sarcasm from my voice. I hope that you maybe are smiling like, that sounds ridiculous. You sound like a total loser. And would you ever experience the professional success that you have in your life operating that way? Of course you wouldn't. You would feel the need. You would feel obligated to participate and carry your own weight at the office and lead the people that likely work for you. Yet in your personal life, when these little things happen, you end up just throwing away the commitments that you make to yourself. You're the first person to suffer. We put our families first. We put work first. And if if we're lucky, we get the crumbs. And I know that there's a better way because I've executed it myself in my own life. And I've now executed it with hundreds of other people just like you. And the beauty of now working with hundreds of people is that there is someone out there that I know personally that has the exact same circumstances as you. And there are thousands and maybe even millions of people out there that have circumstances that are very much like yours. Maybe not specifically the same ones you have, but I guarantee you there are others out there. That's why I always say, if I can do it, so can you, because I'm so very much like you. And I want to get across this need for help in your life, especially for the hard charging men out there. We feel like it's our obligation to put the world on our back and to do everything that we can for our families. And we are the last people to raise our hands and to say, you know what? I could use a little bit of help. I don't actually know how to get the results that I truly want. And we just keep beating our heads against the wall. And we're unwilling to just take a step back and analyze and say, is this really working? Like, if I was doing this in my business, would I keep doing it? And that's what we do in our personal lives so often. You wouldn't show up for that meeting over and over and over again with suboptimal, subpar, sometimes zero to contribute. You would hustle, you would grind, you would find a way, your back is against the wall, and you would figure it out. And that's what accountability can do for you. It is your insurance policy on your own success. And so this message this week, I want it to be very intentionally short, direct, and to the point. If you do not have mechanisms in your life to hold yourself accountable, you are leaving money on the table. Can you do it yourself? You can do it yourself. You have to be highly motivated. You have to have experience. You have to have internal drive and desire. And then you have to have grit and determination, because there's going to be moments when we don't want to do it. And I'm telling you right now, getting accountable to a process, getting accountable to somebody who you don't want to let down, being accountable to somebody who knows the way is one of the fastest ways for you to time collapse those moments where you feel like you've been off track for months. Nobody gets off track for months inside my program. I don't allow it. If you are off track for months, we kind of just stop working together because you've chosen not to communicate with me. If you're actively communicating with somebody and telling them what you intend to do, and then that person helps you craft it, is this actually realistic for you this week? Should you be getting to the gym 4 days this week when you have 3 nights out and have to travel 2 of the days of the week? Maybe this is a week we get 2 gym sessions in, and we just try to walk a lot, and we just make sure we don't make any, terrible mistakes with our food, whatever the analogy may be. But are you able to answer to somebody each week? Is there a specific process? Do you check in via a process on a weekly basis? Do you make commitments to yourself? Do you prepare for the curveballs that are coming later in the week? These are all things that I ask people to do inside of my one-on-one coaching program and my executive team programs. Are you accountable to each other? I'm beginning to work with a new executive team now. I'm going to ask them to get accountable to each other because, quite frankly, I will be working remotely with them. I was blessed to be able to see them and meet them and connect with them last week in person, but I'm not going to be with them 24 hours a day. They're not going to be with themselves 24 hours a day, but they will be with each other 5 days a week. They will have much more face-to-face contact with each other than I will. And so as a team, if you want to be elevating the culture inside of your organization and the camaraderie that you all have together, moving together as one towards one common goal, you want to make sure that you're telling each other what you're doing. You want to make sure that you know that if Brian says he's going to do something, that Tom can check in after a day or so and say, hey man, what's going on with that thing you said you're going to do? Because I'm relying on you. I'm relying on you to do the thing that you said you were going to do because it affects me. And when you say it like that, when you present it like that to someone, man, does it become more important. And so if you are an individual who is struggling in your life, the first thing you could do is ask for help. And when I say ask for help, that doesn't mean that you have to be all mushy and vulnerable and tell everybody all of your dark secrets. You just have to say to somebody else or find someone who's doing what you want to do in your life and just declare to them that you are doing something yourself. One of the easiest things I ask some of my executives to do is to ask people at home to hold them accountable. Maybe it's your spouse. A great idea is to ask your kids to hold you accountable. If you struggle eating too much food too late at night, just tell your kids that you decided to do something or to not do something. They don't care about your feelings. They will rip you to shreds if they see you doing that thing. And so we white knuckle ourselves to death in attempting to achieve a goal. And it's like, when are you going to admit that you can't do this yourself? When are you going to admit that there might be a better way, that you don't actually know what it is you should do in order to get the most efficient results? The companies I work with hire consultants all the time for all different aspects of their business. Why wouldn't you have a consultant for your personal life? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. I've gotten some of the best physical results in my life by hiring a fitness and nutrition coaching program. Shout out to Superhuman. I've been part of their group for 2 years. I've gotten the best results I've ever gotten in my life because of the culture inside of their program, because of my relationship with my one-on-one coach. And if you don't have a relationship like that with someone or a group of people who are all moving in the same direction, whose standard may be your goal. Your goal might be to go to the gym 4 days a week, eat cleaner, drink less alcohol, communicate more with your wife, and have the greatest relationship ever, right? It might be to move more, to not be able to look at your belly every time you look down. Like, that's my standard. I'm not saying that I'm perfect at all this stuff. I'm not saying I have it all figured out, but that's my standard. I do that in my sleep. I don't sleep very well, but I do that in my sleep. So why wouldn't you get yourself around somebody like me who's already doing it? If you're not doing it, you're the outcast. If you're hanging out with 5 people who drink too much, who eat like shit, and who are fat, and you declare that you want to get healthy, you're going to have a really hard time in that environment. You need to find an accountability system where the standard is your goal. And so I would encourage you highly to think about where in your life accountability can change the game for you, because it's your insurance policy on your own success. Everybody I'm speaking to right now is very familiar with and has insurance in some form or another. You do it because it's the financially savvy thing to do to protect your downside. And why wouldn't you protect your downside in your personal life outside of the office, in your mental performance, your physical performance, and your relational performance? Because when you do those 3 things, your financial performance only goes one way, and that is straight up. I hope a message like this helped you this week. If you are not accountable to somebody, please get accountable. And if you think that I might be a good person to get accountable to, just reach out to me and we'll see if you're a good fit. I appreciate you. If this episode helped you, please share it with somebody. See you back here next week.